Welcome back to module number 2, lesson number 1. Today we are going to cover Seller Central as an overview. Now, I am assuming you have already created your Amazon Sellers account. If you have not, you need to go to sellercentral.amazon.com, create your account, choose whether you're going to be on the individual plan or the pro plan, which I covered in the first module. Once you have your account established, then you can continue to this video and I'm going to show you what all the different buttons and doodads mean. So without further ado, let's dive in, start doing some computer work. Let's go. So here we have our Seller Central overview. A lot of this is going to be pretty basic information, but if you're brand new, this is going to help you just have a better understanding of what you're looking at. So first one, top left, your orders are only going to be if you are doing merchant filled. This is where they'll show up as pending. And then once you have them shipped, and if you have any return requests. If you want to look at a more in-depth breakdown of your FBA orders, you can either do that on the orders tab up here or view orders right here. Again, just sticking with this left column, which by the way, you can kind of organize these depending on how you want to. Performance is going to be a very crucial aspect to keep an eye out for. This is where if you have any buyer messages, you can keep on track with those. And again, do not let messages roll more than 24 hours or it will negatively affect your metrics. Stay on top of those, reply if they need it, direct them to Amazon if they're asking about any product. Tracking number information, return requests, all that kind of stuff is going to be directed right back to Amazon for customer service since that is what FBA is for. A to Z guarantee claims, you hopefully will never have to deal with one of these. We have had to deal with one before. Customer bought an item. It was a video game. It got shipped. It was a merchant filled shipment that I did. I was on a camping trip, unfortunately. I did not see his message for the return request until after 3 days. I had 0 cell phone reception. And when I came back, he had already submitted an A to Z guarantee claim, which means I had to obviously provide the full refund, but then I had this strike against my account. Luckily, that was over a year ago. It is now removed off the account. We're good to go. But do not mess with customer stuff when it comes like that. You just want to provide the refund if they ask for it and just make them happy. That's what this is about. Chargeback claims, if you have any buyer messages, again, you want to go under that 24-hour target. Account health will take you over to a new dashboard. I'll show you this when we get to the top. Customer feedback is going to be another good one to keep an eye out for. I click on this pretty much every single day because I want to see if I have any new 5 stars that came in, which are great, or if there's any negatives, which I can show you how to remove those in a future lesson. Seller forums is nice to play around on, especially if you have questions. This is where other sellers can go and post comments and questions and topics. So this is a good one to browse through. Up at the top in the middle, typically any type of news that they have rolling out will be up here. Amazon Selling Coach, I don't mess around with too much myself. I don't know if I'm missing out on opportunities because I don't, but for the most part, I just really don't pay attention to this too much. The one part I do pay attention to is this because it's probably the first one that comes up, but inventory alerts. So if there's any like these ones, restock inventory, if I have replenishable items and this pops up, that's when I'll go and kind of take a mental note. I need to go order more. They have different tabs in here, pricing, growth, advertising, fulfillment, etc. Again, the point of this video is to show you the basic overview. I'm not going to go too much in depth with each of those. A couple more key ones on the right side is going to be your payment summary. So every time an item is ordered, it's going to be considered pending. When it ships is when your item gross sales will show up in your next payment. When an item is pending, that number, your gross sales for that number is not going to reflect in this until it's actually shipped out. Next one, we have manage case log. Anytime that you need help from Amazon side, you can open up what's called a case. And you can actually do that just by going to the top. You can't see it because my recording is not quite on the screen here, but right up where my mouse is, that top right, you'll see a help button. Brings up this menu here. You can go through if you need to change a listing, if you have specific issues going on with a listing, anything like that, you can open up a case. So if you want to manage your case log or view or reply to a current case, you can do that right there. Sales summary is just how it sounds. It's going to show you what your sales are for today, 7 days, 15 days, and 30 days. Inventory planning, this is called an IPI number, an inventory performance index number. This is going to be extremely crucial to keep above 350. See that where that red meets that green, that's 350. So you want to keep it in the green, stay above 350 if you can. This is basically slow moving inventory number. So if you keep a bunch of products that are in Amazon for more than 6 months, this number is going to start going down because you're taking up space. And if your number is not above 350, then they will limit you to how much you're able to store in their warehouse. And this is nice to see because they do give you little notifications. I have 89 units right now that are going to have a monthly long-term storage fee because they've been there for more than 6 months. So this is handy to have because I can click on this, see which units those are, adjust my prices to get those moving quicker, etc. So from here, I think the first one that is probably going to be most used, just it's kind of fun to play around with, especially when you first start. Click on that business report and it's going to bring up your sales. So you can see our sales for today. And it's nice because it shows you what your sales were for today, which you can see in the blue. The red would be yesterday, same day last week, and same day last year. So if you're looking for comparing your metrics, this is really nice to have, especially if you filter down. You can filter back as far as 3 years. So if we go year to date, for example, apply, we can see, and there's going to be a left side and a right side. This left side is units ordered. Right side is going to be ordered product sales. So we can see in blue is this year, red is last year. So this year in January, we did 11.8K in sales. Last year was 11K, so that was an increase, which is great. February, again, we had an increase. We did 5.8K last year in sales. This year we did 8.8. And obviously we're only a couple days into March, so that number's not going to quite reflect where we're going to end yet, but you guys can see how that goes. So this is really nice to see after you get to a full year view because you can start to see, for example, last year Q4, you can see that big ramp up. So we went from we had a really tough time in October. We did $6,000 in sales, but you can see in December, obviously Q4, we did almost $32,000 in sales. So once we get to the end of this year, that blue line is going to be here as a side-by-side comparison. So I kind of use this and I keep notes on what type of sourcing were we doing during the summertime last year, because you guys can see our sales tanked last year. And I know exactly why those tanked. We just weren't sourcing. We had a lot of personal stuff going on, and I keep a note of that. So this year, I know that when June gets here, I need to hit it hard so I can just keep this graph growing. So I find it extremely useful to be able to see graphs like this for myself. And this is also nice to see too. You can see this year we've done so far $22,000 in sales. And this is where it gets to be really nice to have too, is I can see that we have an average sale price of $32, which is great because last year, if I just filter this down to where we were last year, if I go January 2018 and I filter that down to 2018 December, if I filter this down to last year 2018, you can see that we had an average sale price of $19.75. So as you guys can see, we have severely increased our average sale price and we're on track to crush our sales from last year, which was only $112. And again, looking at these graphs, you guys can see where we struggled throughout the summertime and then where we got our butts back into gear, we started hitting sourcing really hard again. So that's the basic breakdown of how you can do this. It's just kind of nice to see it in a graph form. If you're a numbers analytical person, this is going to be a great place for you. All right, so back to the main page. So at the top here, you've got lots of different pages, lots of different drop downs. A lot of these you're not going to mess around with too much in the beginning. As you get more experience and start to do a lot more advanced methods, you're going to be using more of this. But in the beginning, I'm going to show you the basics that you need to know. When you go to create your shipment, let's say you have 20 products on your table ready to be shipped in. You're going to go to inventory and add a product as your first point. And from here, you're simply going to either scan, if you have a USB scanner, which you can check out on our supplies video, you can take that scanner and scan the barcode, and that barcode automatically populates right here. Or you can type something in, let's say Ninja Turtles toy. And of course, you want to type in the exact one you have. I'm just going to put something in here. Let's say I have this right here, this Ninja Turtles sewer layer playset. I'm going to hit sell yours, and it's going to take me to the next page, which is the actual listing. From there, you submit your info, your price, your condition, etc. Submit. And that's how you play around with adding products in Seller Central. Another part of inventory is once you have your products in there, you're going to mess around with either manage inventory will be all of your inventory, or if you want just the FBA ones, you can click on this. Now, obviously, I can't give away my exact products, so I do have to blur those out. But on the right side is what I wanted to show you here. You can filter by your inactive listings, your actives, etc. There's a couple things that confused me when I first started, so I want to clear that up for you here. You can see on the left, I've got inactive on all these because these are actually currently being shipped into Amazon. So I want to see just what I have active right now. And on the right side, I want to show you what these columns mean. Now, if you have inbound, that means that they are currently being shipped in. Available means they are checked into Amazon, ready to be purchased. Unfulfillable can be a couple of different things. Sometimes the listing is called suppressed, which you can actually see right here. These just got checked in. They are called suppressed because it's missing crucial information, and you can't see it because of the blur, but somebody removed the product image. So I have to go in there and request that be fixed. Now, if that stays suppressed, these 5 units, which are currently active, are going to go to unavailable or unfulfillable, and I'm going to have to recall those back. Unfulfillable inventory will also be customer returns that may have been damaged, so therefore an employee called it unfulfillable, so it's going to go into that column. It costs 50 cents to call items back to you, which I can show you which tab to do that on. And this is the one that confused me. I didn't know what this meant in the beginning. Reserved. Now, if I filter this, this is going to show now the most amount of reserved and go down. Reserved means that that is being transferred to another warehouse. So if you get the email, when you do an Amazon shipment, you get the email that says your inventory is being checked in, and you get excited, you go look at your inventory and you think, well, there's nothing available there. It's probably because they're being reserved or transferred to another warehouse. This can take a couple days. Sometimes it might take a couple weeks. It just depends on how many units, what type of item, how far it's going, etc. Being 383 units, chances are these are being sent to multiple different warehouses because I had plenty of them. And if you click on that, you can see that breakdown. Fulfillment center is going to be FC for short, fulfillment center transfer, 383 units. And as we go down, you guys can see I have 44, 36, 34, etc. Those are just all being transferred. Now, let's say you do have unfulfillable inventory, which I probably do. So let me just click on this and see if I do. So right here, I have one of these that is unfulfillable. So I'm actually going to do this live for you right now and show you how it's done. This means that I cannot sell that one unit. I have 2 available, but I cannot sell that one unit here on Amazon anymore. So I'm going to have to pay 50 cents, and it's no matter how many items or what type of item, you're going to pay 50 cents per item that is recalled back to you. And I'll show you how to do that right now. We're going to click on this product. We're going to go to action, create removal order. Once we are on this page, I'm going to confirm unfulfillable quantity. I want to remove just that one. The 2 here I have active. Obviously, I want to keep those active there. I just need to call this one back, hit continue. And the nice part is sometimes they show you the exact reason. The item was damaged in the fulfillment center. Amazon takes responsibility for this damage. No further action is required. So in this case, they damaged the item, and this means I'm going to automatically get reimbursed for that product, which is why you see this here now. You don't have any inventory available for return. So this must have just been recent, and they're working on their end, so that unfulfillable quantity will eventually go to 0. And per Amazon guidelines, within 45 days is when you'll see an item like this get reimbursed. But if this wasn't the case and I was able to recall this, that's basically it. You just do that final submit button, you pay your 50 cents, and then you get it shipped back to you. From there, you can either sell it locally on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, or you can sell it online like eBay. One last page on the inventory tab that you are going to use pretty much every single time you ship is going to be manage FBA shipments. Anytime that you do create a shipment, this is going to be the page that has all your information. So you can see these are some recent shipments that we just sent in, and receiving is going to be one of the best things that you see because it has gone through the transit system and it is at the warehouse being picked, and they are unloading your boxes, getting them into inventory. Now, once everything is received, they will switch over to closed. Now, for some reason, you need to go back here and open up a case with something. For example, prime example, actually, this is a closed shipment. They say they received 207, but we shipped out 210. So I would go to track shipment, and there would be a reconcile button, and I can figure out where those extra 3 units are. Open up a case, they'll have somebody check into it and get back to you. So this is just a really nice page to be able to play around with, especially if you want to keep an eye on some of your inventory like I did down here. You can also get shipping updates on this as well. If you click track shipment, let's say that you've had boxes floating around for the last 2 weeks and you want to know where those are. This is going to show you right where it's at. And then while you're on here, shipment contents. So again, if there's numbers that don't match up, you can click shipment contents and it will actually show you a breakdown of how many units of each thing they did receive. And then that reconcile button right there. And then if you do ever need to open up a case, what you can do is this reference ID or the shipment ID, you can copy and paste that into a case under the help section and use that as a reference for Amazon. And that basically sums up the top 3 tabs that you'll need to know for your inventory. It'll be manage inventory, it'll be add a product, and manage FBA shipments. Pricing, really don't need to mess around with too much on that. Unless you want to look up specific orders, you can look up manage orders right here and see those. I think a lot of us like to use our app. And in lesson number 2 coming up, I'm going to show you how to look up your orders on your app as well. Advertising, you really, especially in the beginning phase, you are not going to use any of these except for Campaign Manager for PPC. And I'm going to show you that in a future lesson in this module. Managed stores, you don't need to worry about unless you have multiple. Programs, unless you're going to go global shipping, you do not need to worry about that as well. Reports, I mean, you can look up through some of these, they go very in depth. Payments report is going to show you your payment breakdowns, how much your current paycheck is looking to be. It will show you a transaction breakdown in there, which is nice to have. So you can actually see a breakdown of your fees being charged and all the good stuff that goes with that. Business reports is that sales page that I showed you how to look up the different custom dates on your sales. Tax document library is a good one to keep an eye out for. This is where they put your 1099 at the end of the year if you've done at least $20,000 in sales. So this is where you grab your 1099 report. You can run a returns report, which is nice to have. Fulfillment, this is going to be the one that has an extreme breakdown, obviously tons of different reports that you can run. And especially once you've been doing this a while, if you want to look up inventory age, inventory health, adjustments, all this stuff that goes into it. You can take an entire day and just go through each of these and learn how each of them works. But honestly, in the beginning, you're not going to worry about this at all. There's very few things I even play around with in here. And typically it's just going to be looking at my inventory adjustments, my inventory health. It's going to be looking at FBA customer returns, long-term storage fee charges, just a few basic ones. But in the beginning, I mean, unless you really want to go in here and dive in, you don't have to worry too much about that. Performance, this is a really good one. And there's actually something on here I want to show you. So this is reality of selling on Amazon. Sometimes you sell items from brands that don't like third-party sellers and you get something called an IP claim, intellectual property complaints. So these are not good to have. Really, any type of complaint is not good to have. IP claims are just part of the risk that goes into selling on Amazon if you're doing retail and online arbitrage. There's no true way to determine who's going to send one. There's well-known brands that just don't like third-party sellers and they're going to send these out. Fortunately, I was able to get this one removed this morning, actually, which is why it still shows on the account. It takes a couple days to go off of there. And in a future lesson, if you do get hit with an IP claim, I can show you how to get that removed. So I'm happy that that is actually still showing on there so I can show you the reality of this is something that you may have to deal with in the future. And this is exactly why I'm going to teach you to keep your receipts, because if I did not have a receipt for the product that I had an IP claim with, I would not be in a good position right now. Keep your receipts, because if you need to fight any complaints in the future, you are going to need those. But aside from that, as you can see, this gives you a basic overview of order defect rate, negative feedback, different complaints that might come in, late shipping stuff you really don't need to worry about because obviously it's a seller fulfilled. If there's ever a late shipping issue, that's going to be on Amazon's side, and that's something you are not going to have to deal with. And if you're doing Amazon FBA, I recommend you at least check your account health once a day, because unfortunately, Amazon is not going to email you if you get a complaint. Sometimes they will, most of the time that they won't. This was a prime example. I woke up and I did my morning routine of checking all my tabs, and this is one of the tabs I check every day. I have not had a complaint in over a year, and out of nowhere, I happen to wake up and I see this caution sign. I got no email, no heads up, no warning. It was just there. So I recommend you check this account health tab once a day. One other crucial part about this performance tab that I highly recommend you all look at, actually two things. One is going to be your feedback. So if we click on this, it's going to show your actual seller feedback, just like it would be on the eBay side. One note though is Amazon feedback is not going to be like eBay feedback. If you come from an eBay background, you know that eBay thrives and survives on customer and seller feedback. This Amazon account right here is over 3 years old and we have 194 feedback. If this were an eBay account, we would have several thousand feedback with the amount of items that we have shipped. But this is just the reality of Amazon world. The customers do not leave feedback very often. So this is another place that you want to check every single day, at least once a day. This is just part of my morning routine, is to check my account health and my feedback. If you do get a negative one, you can actually get it removed. And I'm going to show you that in one of the next lessons. The last part about this that I want to show you is Seller University. This is going to be absolutely necessity if you're going to be selling on Amazon, because they show you how to do everything right here in their own little tutorials. So if you have grocery items that you need to know how to prep a certain way, if you have different products that need different requirements, they're going to show you how to do all that right in here. So definitely take a day and just go through and learn the basics about all this. And that's it, folks. That is a basic overview of your Amazon Seller Central. Hopefully that helped clear up a little bit more about how this all works. And stay tuned for lesson number 2, because I'm going to show you how your app is going to work for Seller Central. Again, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.